Hello everyone, my name is Tark and welcome back to another SH Figuarts review. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the RORONOA Zoro. Zoro from Romance Dawn. I forgot that was technically his full name, so yeah. This guy, a lot of people were excited about him, and myself included. Not only because I can actually have a good Zoro in my collection, because the previous one was complete and utter garbage. I'm very excited about him, although I have heard that he does not have as perfect articulation as people expected. So let's see if he does or not. So without further ado, let's take him out and see how he looks. Zoro Nation, I'm afraid we have another bust. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not a terrible figure, I will tell you that already. Here's how he compares to the Romance Dawn Luffy, and also just Super Saiyan Goku as well, in terms of height. Pretty good height for a figure like this, pretty accurate in terms of the line. He looks great. He looks fine, although there are some pieces that I kind of wish they started painting more for these figures. Like, yeah, the face looks fine. He looks like Zoro. The hair is just pure green. I'm surprised there's like no shading whatsoever. That is definitely something that I find interesting. Pretty much everything else is a matte finish in terms of the skin, the shirt, and even the waistband. But we do have just pure plastic over here down on the bottom, which definitely does make it a little bit annoying because we do have more shiny sections here for sort of like the hips, as compared to the thighs, and even the knees are the same plastic as everything else, but this is just shinier. The boots are also shinier, but I have no issue with that because these are more so like, they look like rubber boots or like leather boots, so they technically should be shiny. It's just I wish that they actually painted the pants or used a different type of plastic for this. I will tell you, he looks fine. If you want a Zoro in your collection, especially if you have the Romance Dawn line, this is the Zoro to get. You realistically don't need another one. Do not get the... please do not get the Raid no Shigama Zoro, because that one sucks. This one is slightly better, but it does have its issues. Now, articulation-wise, this guy has some improvements and also some stupid choices. I will tell you that. So I really do want to go in depth with this guy because this was the make or break for a lot of people when it comes to trusting Bandai with Zoro figures. And I'm gonna tell you, you might be a little disappointed with him. He does pose well in certain areas, but there's a lot of weird choices as to what type of joints or pegs or anything else they used for this figure. So when it comes to the head, he can look down about that far, which is really good. Looking up, also pretty decently good. It does have a double ball peg with a neck peg as well, so you can move them however you want. Pivot side to side perfectly. Looking side to side. Butterfly joints also, well, actually the T-posability for this guy is absolutely insane. As you saw, you can definitely go above and beyond with this guy if you wanted to. Oh, that is something I did not expect. So yeah, do be careful with your sleeves. That's another thing I want to talk about. So here's how the mechanism looks now that we have it here. So it's kind of like two ball hinges kind of in there, and they work well. They have a hinge in the middle that also connects to the neck peg, which is interesting. So that is a very interesting design. It works. I like it. And even for the butterfly joints, they actually do work really well. He can rotate 360 degrees if you wanted to, although you'll probably end up rotating one of the joints. So I would just be careful. Realistically, you can just rotate the arm itself. Now, a lot of people do have issues with the way that they do this. Well, I think, there you go. So the way that they do the regular shirts like this with the sleeves and the shoulders, that it's a really nice smooth connection. It's just sometimes it's going to hinder the articulation for some reason, and I don't get why they can't really fix that. It is better than something like the Denji or even the Chainsaw Man figures, where they have like really weird looking shoulders. So there's something that at least is better than that. So yeah, butterfly joints themselves work pretty well. He can get both his arms across beautifully. You can definitely push him further if you wanted to, but I'm not, because this is more than enough for me, really. We do have a not a thigh swivel, but a bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow, which works nicely, and a wrist hinge. Now, probably the worst thing about this figure is the ab crunch. He has none. There's nothing. And even if you take off this waistband, which there's no movement whatsoever there, you're going to have a giant gap here, so you're going to have to fill it up with yet another waistband. Wonderful technology. So this guy is just a disappointment, really. I was expecting a lot more from this guy, especially after they announced him. But I will tell you something. When I saw his debut video done by Tamashii, they completely skipped the ab crunch section, which a lot of people were like, come on, show that ab crunch, show that non-existent ab crunch. And yeah, he has no ab crunch. The chest crunch, you're just gonna end up popping off the actual figure. Why, Tamashii? Make this fucking peg longer, Jesus! Make it longer. Don't make this thing be the thing that needs to move. Make the peg the one that needs to move. It's simple engineering. And I've actually been learning a lot about the figure engineering in this instance because of my review channel. So I would just be talking out my ass if I didn't know a little bit. But they really could have just made this peg longer, slightly thicker as well, make this a pure socket, and then you can have good articulation with it. Make it so you can move them around. That way it works like a fucking neck. Seriously, why do they keep doing this? Their One Piece line has really good figures and really shitty figures. And so far, the Romance Dawn only has one good figure and two shitty ones, being Nami and Sanji. Or not Sanji, Zoro. It's definitely a bummer because this should also be much softer plastic. This is still somewhat hard plastic, which I don't get. And the way that they design the waist is also terrible. Don't get why they keep doing that. Now, legs. What is this? It works to an extent, but look at this. This is somewhat soft plastic, almost as it's harder than the waistband, which is already stupid. It's somewhat soft plastic that you can mold.
All right. This is Editing Archer here. I want you guys to ignore pretty much everything that I talk about with the legs because they're pretty much the exact same as Luffy's, even though Luffy actually has slightly better range of motion. And I forgot that that's how Tamashii Nations actually does their figures with a lot of their franchises in terms of how they connect the legs. They're a little bit different with the Dragon Ball figures, but they're very similar with the other figures. They definitely have been going more the ball peg version, but still I think the socket itself onto the circular peg is not a good thing still. But yeah, just ignore this section here. Yeah.
And this is not even a ball peg. This is just a peg that you insert and you barely get any range with them. That's as far as you're going to get if I don't break it or something. Now, it is probably going to reduce the breakage, but still. Terrible splits, by the way, because they didn't make these good enough in terms of how it actually works. They didn't make the joint go all the way up. They should have definitely had a slight bigger cut over here on the leg. Then he could actually make the splits, but they didn't. So now you get barely okay splits at most. You have a thigh swivel, that works. You have a single jointed knee that actually looks really ugly. Now, we took a look. I'm recording this video after the Tamashii Nations Son Goku Daima figure. That figure looks fantastic. What the fuck happened here? It's completely separate, just pieces. Instead of it being just one, two pieces with the thigh and the calf itself, They decided to make it 3 pieces, the actual knee joint, calf, and also the thigh. So then it just looks ugly. You have a giant hinge right here that shows, pretty ugly. And it just, even the transitioning between the actual pants doesn't look good either. This figure is very much a disappointment. And I don't know how to feel. He does have a boot swivel and a boot hinge, foot hinge going forward this far, backwards this far, and a toe hinge that actually looks pretty decent. But that's pretty much it. He has shitty articulation on the ab crunch, and he has somewhat shitty leg articulation. Even kicking backwards, it's okay because he doesn't have as much butt as other figures. But man, how do they keep fumbling Zoro so bad in this line? Like, he's 2 for 2 on having not good figures. Now, this figure is better than the previous one, that's for sure, because he actually somewhat moves. But it's still not a good figure, and I will tell you that straight away. Now, in terms of the accessories, he does have a pretty decent amount, so let's take a look at those real quick. Alright, so here we have the accessories for Zoro, and I gotta tell you, he has a decent amount of accessories. Probably not as many as he should, especially for a $68 figure. So, he does have 4 different faceplates for himself, with a head sculpt included, with his headband, of course, which looks really nice. I like this. It is beautiful. You just have to sort of pop this little sucker out, I think. There you go. You pop out the whole noggin. You pop out the face, and then you can swap it out with the other face that has the giant noggin. Look at him. Look at him smirking. That is hilarious. We do have a smiling head, which looks really nice. We also have an angry face that is also really good as Nami's, and an angry face for Luffy as well. We also have his katanas, or his swords, for the waistband if you want to use them. You can, of course, take these little sheaths off to make it look like he's actually using them in battle. We do have the regular katanas, of course. You cannot move these whatsoever. But we do have the 3, the one that goes in the mouth. We have 2 holding hands, 2 hands with the grips of the thumbs, and then 2 sort of relaxed hands. So in terms of accessories, he actually comes with a decent amount. But I don't think it's enough. Going into my final thoughts, this figure is a major disappointment, especially for me, that I was very much expecting this figure to be more than okay, and it's a little bit underwhelming. So overall, I'm going to give this figure, unfortunately, a 6 out of 10, because I don't think it is sufficient enough, especially for the pricing of $68. This figure is too expensive for something that can barely move in the abdomen. The legs are definitely a weird choice, which is kind of interesting because even Luffy has better articulation with the legs, but they do have like a similar mechanism too. So all of these figures have a weird mechanism with these legs, and I do not understand why they keep doing them. Just kind of wish they didn't do that. Although I do think that this is probably a regular thing for Tamashii. Wait, before you get angry at my comments, I'm checking all the other figures that I have on my desk. So yeah, the Goku one has a ball peg, at least a 3.0 Goku. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird, interesting way of doing legs. I probably had not noticed it beforehand. It's just that they definitely could have done it a lot better. So yeah, that's pretty much all the time I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this figure. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I would like to know down in the comments below. But realistically, just wait for a sale on this guy. Wait for him to go down in price, because he is not worth it at $68. But besides that, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.